Amanda.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Madoka Magica Season 1, Episode 5. Man, I was really enjoying the series, but the end of last episode just killed it for me. I don't even want to watch this episode.
Really?
No, I want to watch it. I'm scared. Kyoko shows up and is like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill Sayaka." Why the fuck? Why do you have to do that? Why? I hate you. I hate you, Kyoko.
I have a prediction that obviously you are joking with us saying that you despise this character so much, especially having had very little time with them. I mean, the time you have had with them, they did say some fighting words.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a prediction that they will do something endearing in the future that will endear you specifically as a viewer to them, similar to Sayaka bringing a bat, and you will be saying something different.
Unlikely.
Within maybe even the next episode we watch.
Unlikely.
I
am a little bit worried for Sayaka's character, though. Like, the idea of making the wish that I'm going to assume that Kamijo now has, his hands are what they used to be. I think that might narratively be setting something up, maybe, for something bad to happen, or at least that's what I fear. But on like, what direction, if something bad would happen, like, I trust Sayaka in, like, an emotional, grounded way that she wouldn't have any, like, unrealistic expectations from Kamijo coming out of this, and I could be totally off base there, but at the same time, she seems really fucking capable when she transforms, and her transformation's awesome, and she has a sword. So I don't know, I'm a little bit worried, though.
Right. There were three things that we mainly, were discussing after last episode in regards to Sayaka making this wish when she was in greater need.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one was, are we sure that she will be able to make a wish like this without more of a selfish kind of undertone in terms of wanting praise or acknowledgement from Kamijo for what she's done,
mm-hmm.
which we have already kind of talked about, how the harsh words from Mommy and how much reflection she had about those words last episode. It's probably means that she knows what she's getting into here. She knows that it's not something that he should or will be paying more attention to her, loving her for. The second thing that we talked about was whether it was something he actually would want or he wanted for himself.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, I would say he probably would want it, but that's just me as a viewer. And the third thing was, what happens if Sayaka dies as a magical girl? Does Kamijo lose the usage of his hands again? And he that fake out, that emotional trauma that will just be piling onto this already existing trauma that has happened to him, of being given back the ability to do something he loves that he really wants to do, and then it be taken away.
It would be the most fucked up thing in the world if that happened. I don't think that would happen. The idea that, okay, if anything happens to Sayaka, at least she would find solace in she's dead, but she gave Kamijo another chance at the life that he loves. If that too was ripped away, I would be devastated.
I think it fits by the logic of the powers and the wish and the contract. It seems like all of the magical girls, because they are, we know that they do not fight in a group and they fight solo, it is because they are trying to keep alive their wish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which would lead more to, your wish ends the moment that you die.
Don't say that.
I'm so sorry.
Kyoko's gonna die. Nobody else. Ready?
Okay.
Sweet.
Do we get to see the actual making of the contract?
I don't think she'd do it in the same room as him, right? Holy shit, we get to see it.
Look at the shadow.
It's amazing.
That is beautiful.
Oh. Holy shit.
Wow. He enters into her?
Looks like an egg, right?
Mm-hmm. The soul gem.
What great imagery, but it's so unnerving.
The usage of shadows for
Yeah.
that whole scene to just make it that much more tense, dynamic, kind of creepy.
I'm still worried that Sayaka wasn't in the dream in the first episode. I'm so anxious about it.
I'm just going to interpret the dream as Homura and Madoka are the main characters. So that's me coping and being like, that's why no one else is there.
Man, I feel like Madoka has to be a magical girl at some point, right?
I mean, like, what if she doesn't?
That would be
and this
crazy.
Whole intro is just to mess with you.
But I would want to know what her power is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There's no way I'll ever regret it. There you go.
It's for Sayaka.
Makes sense.
Wow.
Wow, how weird.
That's true. Wow.
Look at all those windmills.
I want to know really what's going on inside her mind.
Worth it?
That scares me a lot.
Yeah, that's a great
more.
line.
Look at it.
Self-confidence or relief. Oh. Couldn't save mommy.
I feel like I should. Oh.
Interesting.
Wow, the only regret. How much?
Whew.
Oh. She's gonna keep it safe and sound. You don't need to.
Just means there's no problem if you don't become one. Okay. Good. Kamijo, I'm assuming, right? Okay, so it's just strictly hands, right? And he doesn't know. There's so many chairs!
Miracle.
Damn. Whoa!
What are we showing him?
Transformation? No way, right?
Wouldn't that make him feel guilty? You don't want to make the person you saved feel like you did that for them.
He doesn't know the risk, though. He doesn't know the risk that Sayaka knows. A violin? Oh my god.
You told me to get rid of it. I feel like I'm gonna cry. Wow, look at that shot. I bet that felt really good to put it back under his chin.
You
すべて君の思い通りに行くとは限らない。この町にはもう一人魔法少女がいるからね。へえ、何者なの？僕にもよくわからない。はあ？
what?
そいつだってあんたと契約して魔法少女になったんです。
Wait, so
そうとも言えるし、違うとも言える。あの子は極めつけのイレギュラーだ。
What?
どういう行動に出るか僕にも予想でき
so
ない。
Kyubey is like the only known contract giver?
I hate her. This city is the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. This world is insane. I love it. What do you think? Trying to protect her?
Just hoping they get along.
魔法少女としては致命的ね。度を越した優しさは甘さにつながるし、
Whew.
万有は油断になる。そしてどんな献身にも見返りなんてない。
She has a ring too.
Look at
and
her
the nail polish.
nails.
魔法少女は務まらない。だから巴マミも命を落とした。
Whoa.
そんな言い方やめてよ。私じゃあもうさやかちゃんの力になってあげられないから。
She wants you
だから
to.
小村ちゃんにお願いしたいの。さやかちゃんと仲良くしてあげて。魔女をやっつける時もみんなで協力して戦えばずっと安全なはずだよね。私は嘘はつきたくないし、できもしない約束もしたくない。だからミキさやかのことは諦めて。
Give up on
Wow.
her.
Like, it's just inevitable?
Ugh.
あなただけでなく彼女もきちんと監視しておくべきだった。ならでも責任を認めた上で言わせても
So
ら
I
う。
acknowledge my responsibility.
どうやっても償いきれない。
Oh.
死んでしまった人が帰ってこないのと同じこと。
Consider her fate sealed.
一度魔法少女になってしまったら
You have no hope of salvation. Oh my
あ
god.
の契約はたった一つの希望と引き換えに全てを諦めるって。
It's like the reaching into the chest. You're giving your whole self.
諦めちゃってるの。私はどんな罪を背負おうと私の戦いを続けなきゃならない。時間を無駄にさせたわね。ごめんなさい。
Homura is so fucking cool. And I love the soundtrack. That was awesome. That was extraordinary. Are you going to warn her?
まあね、一人で平気なの。平気平気。マミさんだってそうしてきたんだし。
God, so isolating and scary.
That's her successor.
何もできないし邪魔にならないところまででいいの。行けるところまで一緒に連れてってもらえたらって。すっごく嬉しい。ねえわかる？手が震えちゃってさ、さっきから止まらないの。情けないよね。邪魔なんかじゃない。すごく嬉しい。誰かが一緒にいてくれるだけですっごく心強いよ。それこそ100人力って感じ。
Yeah.
私だから安心して私の後についてきて。
It's also kind of a safety net.
私バカだから一人だと無茶なデタラメやらかしかねないし、マドカもいるんだって肝に銘じてればそれだけ慎重になれると思う。そっか、君にも君の考えがあるんだろ、マドカ。
Your own plan.
さやかを守りたい君の気持ちはわかる。
She wants to make sure she's there.
君の隣にいてくれるだけで最悪の事態に備えた切り札を一つだけ用
If
意
things really get bad, that's what I was thinking. Sayaka brought it up about mommy. She wishes she had made the decision sooner.
何も言わなくていい。さやかもきっと反対するだろうし、僕の準備はいつでも整ってるからね。
Madoka being there kinda makes me feel like Homura is gonna be around because she doesn't want Madoka to make a deal, right? Do you think Madoka could wish for Sayaka to no longer be a magical girl?
I don't know. There must be some wishes you can't do, even though he said we could do all of them.
Oh my god.
多分魔女じゃなくて使い魔のものだね。
By
Familiar.
familiar, not a witch.
油断は禁物だよ。わかってる。
This is the... Oh my god. What the fuck? The shadows this episode are insane.
Do you see it's musical
The musical
notes?
score. Oh my god. Woo! Oh my
Oh, it's like
god.
my sons. Mommy did something similar
Uh-huh. Oh, fuck. God, I hate how cool that was. Okay.
Goose before it laid the golden eggs.
あんたさ、なんか大元から勘違いしてんじゃない？食物連鎖って知ってる？弱い人間を魔女が食う。その魔女を私たちが食う。
What was that?
あんたはやれ人助けだの正義だの、その手のおちゃらけた冗談かますためにあいつと契約したわけじゃないよね。あんただったらなんだって言うのよ。
Oh no.
Kyubey made sure to position himself with Madoka.
やめてくれない？遊び半分で首突っ込まれるのってさ、ほんとムカつくんだわ。
Oh. It's like a power pole nunchuck spear. For at least, Jesus Christ.
What? We did hear the wishes could affect. Oh my god.
Oh! Woo! This animation, so good.
It's a fight to the death now, basically. You might...
Even if it means using force.
How do we know that magical girl would be strong enough? Homura. Irregularity.
Oh!
Please. Please. Homura, Homura.
Homura is so fucking cool.
I know. These episodes are too short.
Okay, that was Madoka Magica Season 1, Episode 5.
I love this show.
Yeah, me too.
I love it. Oh, I love it.
Man. There's so much that we got. I don't even... Okay. Alright. I just want to talk about Kamijo for a second.
Yes, okay.
That scene of them taking the elevator up so that his parents could give him the violin that he had asked them to throw away was awesome. He was crying.
Did you tear up also?
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna cry. Not only was it helped by, like, the visuals in this show, I was really enjoying in this episode what they were doing with shadows and showing certain people in, like, a darker perspective and others where, like, the light was hitting them. It was really compelling.
What goes behind the choice there? Because it wasn't just then. It was like they picked Season 1, Episode 5 of Madoka Magica to focus on shadows. To be the through line, the creative and artistic through line, the entire episode, regardless of what character is in the scene.
Does it give you that idea that, okay, so if you were to break down what shadows would mean, you could go with a character being in the dark about something. We get a word by Homura of being naive.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the dark to something, what we get is Madoka learning more complexities to being a magical girl, as well as Sayaka learning the complexities of being a magical girl even more so than what Mami showed them. They both are living in a world where magical girls can work together from what their relationship with Mami was like.
Yeah.
And in this episode, Madoka is told by Homura that that's not possible. And then so with this fight at the end, they are kind of brought out of the shadows of being naive and into the light of realizing they aren't just fighting witches.
I like that.
That's what I'm going to go with.
There's one shot at the beginning when Sayaka was talking to Kyubey that the shadow of Kyubey made Kyubey look like a nine-tailed fox, you know?
Oh, yes.
Because of the fern behind it. But, there is something about this fucking show that, bleeds confidence, in creation. It is so, the decisions that they choose to make in this world are astounding. Even what I just brought up about the shadow making Kyubey look like a nine-tailed fox. There's just a random fern there. Mm-hmm. There doesn't need to fucking be shit. You don't need to explain it. It's an amazing visual. And then if you back up for a second, one of my favorite shots in this entire episode was bird's eye view of Sayaka and Kyubey, and just the fucking harsh, straight-lined shadows going to the right. Absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. I love it. The shadow being and then we get another shot of it being from a 75-degree angle, and it's projecting past them. It was so good,
man. There were a lot of good shots in there. It's probably going to be hard to
yeah, there.
Find
God, it's so good.
Yeah, it is really good. Especially with posture, Sayaka in the angle that you're talking about is kind of, seemingly not straight posture, super confident, but Kyubey's posture is extremely confident. And I think that I really liked you bringing up that you can tell that this was created with confidence. And I think that you can tell that a lot of the time. Some of our favorite things that we've watched or read have been of creators that had such confidence in their creative ability because they were able to go to a distance and a trajectory with their story that was unimaginable to us as viewers. They couldn't believe they did that, and not only that they did that, but they weaved it in where it felt right and it worked, even though it's not a common place or a place that we would have jumped to in our minds of prediction. And I think that this story has that. I think that whoever created this had the confidence knowing I'm going to change things up and maybe twist some things and create things in a darker, lighter energy, have creative spins on things where it loses that predictability that the audience might have.
Yeah.
With what I'm using is a concept of magical girls, which is incredibly predictable. Mm-hmm. And the audience is going to think they know everything that's happening. But not only am I going to twist that, but my twists are going to seem, while off the wall and crazy, not like they can't exist in that world and that they don't make sense.
There are so many chairs.
There's so many chairs.
In rooms that they have no business being in.
What's that about?
I mean, you could try to think a lot of doctors and nurses or family were in this room and that's why the chairs are there. But it doesn't feel like that's the point. It just feels like there's chairs there because they want there to be chairs there. I'm having flashbacks to all these art theory classes that I've taken and books that I've read of proper composition and rule of thirds and and how you're trying to utilize directions and angles of objects to make a single frame cohesive, and everything's just out the window. It's just so fantastic. It's chaos for nothing, and I'm obsessed with it. I love it. I'm gonna put random chairs in every room of my house and not explain it.
It's a discordant note. it's something that exists there to throw things off slightly, which leads into what we're already doing with the story of this is a story you think you know what's going to happen, but we're giving it a dark spin on such a kind of thing that's existed in media for so long that everyone's seen, like the bigger magical girl animes. They think they know exactly what's going to happen. Friendship is the biggest theme in it, and working together as a team. But we're throwing something that's unsettling into the mix. And so the chairs all around, it's unnecessary, yes, but in a way it is necessary. It is necessary.
It's not necessary at all. And I love it.
It's adding to the like unsettling nature that the audience is supposed to feel when watching it, that it's going to feel off. Something is off about this room because there's a bunch of freaking chairs in there. We're like, why is there a bunch of freaking chairs in there? There's something off about it. There's something that is not cohesive and balanced and like safe.
No, but it is. That's the fucking weird part. Okay, like, so what image we have on the screen now
we'll try to pull it
is
up
with the chairs.
Yeah.
Take every chair out, right?
Okay.
And it's just Sayaka and the dresser next to Kamijo and the bed with Kamijo in it, right?
Yep.
If you're trying to balance an image, which is not necessary to do, nor should you always, it's like what this image is an off-centered shot of Sayaka and Kamijo. It would work. If I was being really critical, take all the chairs out, move it about like 2 inches to the right, the bed and Sayaka, crazy creative shot, whatever. No, the way, like, it's like, if you try to, like, split an image down the middle, and if you were attempting to take what shot you had and then make each side 50% of weight and, like, busyness in the picture, in the image that you're working on, they've done it. They, like, it's balanced here. It makes no sense. It is balanced here. It's like, it's weighted perfectly for fucking no one knows why. Well, and I love it. It's the best thing I've ever seen.
That they're adding this
it's amazing.
At first, obviously, the idea itself, adding all these random chairs in the room, is a chaos idea. It's a chaotic idea. But what they're doing is they're adding something unsettling and chaotic, but they're still creating a balanced story, a balanced scene. Like, if this was if they didn't have the chairs in this room, then the shot would have had to be a closer up shot, I believe, of Kamijo and Sayaka in order to balance the frame, in order to create a balanced composition. I don't think it would have worked if the chairs weren't there to keep the shot as it is.
Do we exist in a world that no two things can be the same?
Because all the chairs are different?
And they're so completely different.
Lovely.
Sayaka's sitting on, like, a rolly chair that you'd see at a hospital, and then everything else is fucking nuts, man.
I'm pretty sure all the chairs were different in Madoka's monster.
I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were. I remember you being like, oh yeah, like, she's a sleepyhead. I can imagine her being a badass CEO and people coming and having meetings in the morning around her. I
tried to give reason to something that should not have.
How
reason.
How dumb of us.
What it is that we're trying to bring order to something that we should just be immersed in and enjoying instead of trying to find the order and control.
It's not just the chairs either. It's like, the entire world that we're in I've never seen anything like it. There are windmills everywhere, which alone, that's non-consequential. You don't even bring it up. But the fact that we're also getting windmills in the same, like, constructive city with a massive watchtower on the outskirts with, I don't even know. It's
architecturally, there has been a lot of very unique buildings and landscapes, and we've been walking on these, like, high platforms over top of a very industrial looking city that is almost like futuristic.
I don't even know what to say. So, what's the term? What's the term for the things that you look through? They're not binoculars. They're like
Telescope.
stationary binoculars, like as we see with Kyoko observing the city. Regardless,
when someone asks me something, this is why I'd really be really bad at trivia. When someone asks me a direct question, everything leaves my brain.
I'm just so confused. Like, okay, so we see Kyoko looking at the city, right? But she's using like an observatory binocular, like that isn't the rest of them, that have jewels around them, and that seemingly comes from her soul gem, right? And look at it, like all these different colors, and then she takes it away, but it leaves behind the original. You can use your soul gem to change potentially the functionality of objects.
Well, remember what happened with the bat. Mommy
You're right.
changed the bat so that it would actually work in a magical girl sense.
So what do you think the purpose was here? Do you think it would let her see where Sayaka was?
It would have had to either hone into witches, familiars, or other magical girls, I feel like.
So cool, man.
That or maybe it could see further, but I feel like it has to do with the magical world itself.
What'd you think of Sayaka asking Kamijo if, like, anything felt weird in, like, in his hands or in his body?
Probably just trying to make sure that the wish she made... This is, her conversation with Kamijo, is it before or after she talks to Madoka about having no regrets?
That's after.
It's after.
Yeah.
It could be, like, her double-checking that the wish worked out. Because what's the point of fighting life or death battles with a witch if the wish you made ends up having like a monkey's paw aspect to it, or doesn't actually help him? Like, what if he can use his hand but it's incredibly painful every time he does?
Yeah.
You know, so it's probably just her double checking that what she wished for is in fact safe and helpful to him and good.
Before we even get them talking though, there was a great line about like 4.5 minutes into the episode that was about...
I might have had it too.
It was about, like, there's no way that Sayaka's going to regret this. If there was one thing that was close to it, it feels like she should have made this decision earlier since she made it anyway at a certain point in time. I wrote
that down. I was like, the only regret is not doing it sooner. But I also time-stamped a little bit, like a couple minutes earlier, where she brings up what would scare her a lot more than making the wish. What scared her a lot more is that her two best friends were both wrapped up in this witch or familiar's actions, this witch's actions in last episode. She could have lost both of her best friends, and that scared her more than any of the things that were holding her back. And so here it's like Sayaka made this choice, this wish, and now she got to not only save Kamijo's hands and he can play the violin again as she wishes, she was also able to save her two best friends. So it's like... I love
Sayaka as a character has shown so much she's thinking inwardly so much, right? Introspection and Sayaka are synonymous. I love the idea that she went that next step of, I made this decision for the same thing I thought about anyway. Why the fuck wouldn't I have made it sooner? That seems like such a real like feeling to me. Like, I could imagine feeling that way about something, you know? If I decide to do this anyway, what took me so long?
The guilt too that happens there. It's similar. I brought up the idea of, like, if Kamijo did know, which I don't think he ever will, about what Sayaka has done, the amount of guilt that someone would feel that you went out of your way like that for them into a life or death. Like, you could literally die in this fight in order for him to use his hand. If you were to say, hey, I could make this contract and make a wish that you'd be able to use your hand, if someone truly cared about you, they'd probably tell you not to do it. Yeah. Like, don't do that for me, because then I'd have to hold on to the guilt forever, especially if you died, and I'd rather have you alive than dead. If you were to put on what you're doing there is putting on a balancing scale your life, his hands working again. If you were to truly give someone like Kamijo the decision of Sayaka lives or dies, and then you get to use your hands again, I would be shocked and surprised if he didn't pick that he'd rather her life continue.
I completely agree, because I genuinely only felt belief when he was apologizing to Sayaka about what he did. He recognized his depression in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was at the point of life he was at. Like
he would have apologized, I would think, regardless of whether or not he regains
I agree with you.
what happens with his hands. It might have come a couple days later. He might have needed a little more cool off time to get that perspective. But it would have come. He would have been like, I shouldn't have talked to her like that.
How wouldn't you feel jaded and bitter at the entire world and everybody interacting with you if you were in the situation that Kamijo was in, you know? I want to look and re-examine the elevator scene again.
Is it just because the elevator was wild?
It's so cool. It's so fucking cool. I've never seen an elevator like this. Look at this. It's like each floor is split up. This is a very tall building.
This is a very, very tall building.
It goes from 60 to 160. You can see the open and closed, and then each time that like you click on one and scroll up, you can see all the potential options, which it confuses me quite a bit.
It goes to 169.
Yeah,
actually.
But it confuses me quite a bit because she starts where at like 120 or 130, like
somewhere around there.
Yeah, at 120. What is the reason in universe for her starting at 120, dragging up to 160, and then going where she is? Is that telling us that she is currently on the floor 120, or is that just a flex?
I think it's a flex.
Just to show us what it looks like.
If you're thinking it works like a normal elevator, you'd think she just needs to click on the 160 bar, open it up, and then click 169, which is probably the roof. But
she didn't even click 169. She just hovered over the 160s in general. So fucking cool, man. It makes it I love this universe so much. I love it.
Okay, so other things.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that we love this universe and we love
I don't know
so much about it.
What reality you were living in that you thought I'd like Kyoko. There's not a single thing I like about her.
You didn't like her weapon? The long staff, but then it turns into nunchucks?
I can like her weapon without liking her.
Okay, that's fair.
Unless I know that the person has to really conjure that item and put a lot of thought into it, then I could give her credit. But I haven't seen evidence of that.
Okay, what about her snacking while she's fighting?
It's cold.
It's cold, so that's cool.
It's anybody can do that. Doesn't mean it's smart. If you're eating while you're fighting and get killed, that's not cold.
That's true.
That's
if
just
she
dumb.
had lost, then it wasn't cold. But winning that way is cold. Okay, I get you.
We got to talk about I don't know if I have a timestamp for it, but the idea
maybe?
that Kyubey has no fucking clue what Homura is.
I think
and they're
an
irregularity,
yes.
right?
I think it was around 11 minutes in, 11:36 is a timestamp I
think it's
down.
before then. It's right around here. Who is it? About another magical girl. I'm not really sure myself. Doesn't even know a name as well as think about Kyubey. I'm chilling one day trying to get people to make a wish, and then Homura comes out of nowhere and tries to kill me.
Yeah.
What's that supposed to mean? If she's a magical girl, she must have made a contract with you, right? You could say yes. You could also say no.
So confusing.
She's quite the irregularity. Even I can't guess when or where she'll strike. That's so bizarre.
See, we were I think at first my understanding was because of Homura's existence and me believing that she hadn't made a contract with Kyubey, I was like, oh, so there's a bunch of these little alien magical creatures out there offering contracts to girls, and Kyubey has one with Mommy, and Mommy must be a certain type of personality that's willing to share. You know, and that each magical girl would have a different kind of companion-esque animal.
Yeah.
That was my thoughts. Not that they all share making a contract. Does that mean there's multiple of him? Because
that was my
have to be, if there are magical girls having their own territories all over, does that mean he either has can be in more than one place at once? Does that mean he teleports very quickly? He can sense when someone needs him, or
So here's my, like, issue with that. That's my first interpretation of it. There's multiple of Kyubey somehow.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the... Like, I could even see that being shown by we're seeing Kyubey here with Kyoko, but it's so easy to also see Kyubey around Sayaka looking in the mirror, you know? It could be multiple iterations in different places. But where I feel like the Kyubey that we've seen so far has all of the memories from all the interactions we've seen. The idea that there would be another iteration of Kyubey that Kyubey wasn't able to remember or see it happening is a red flag there for me. Like, it doesn't make sense to me there.
So they all have to be the same.
Yeah, then how did Homura become a magical girl? I have no idea. Homura is so cool, and I love that Kyubey doesn't even know how the fuck she exists.
I like the idea that this irregularity that was given a contract with something that Kyubey doesn't know of is this fringe, I want to stop magical girls from existing person.
Yeah.
This person whose mission is to kind of stop this. But then again, wouldn't they have to have a plan for how to deal with the witches? Is it their hope that they can stop all other girls from having to make this decision on their life, and that they will be the one forever kind of locked in this battle is for the sake of protecting everyone else?
Yeah.
We already know that Homura is wanting to protect people from making a choice. She does say and apologize to Madoka about not paying enough attention to Sayaka, and that she was more worried about Madoka making the contract, and that maybe she should have like kind of split her attention there and stopped Sayaka as well. And it wasn't just about wanting to stop Madoka because Madoka would end up being incredibly powerful as a magical girl. She wants to stop anyone from making that decision, and she has a disdain for anyone who does.
But she herself is able to recognize that her life is deemed forfeit almost. And it's like it has an expiration date, you know?
Right. Do you have anything specifically from that scene that you wanted to talk about?
So much.
Okay, cool. Me too.
The aspect that I never realized that all magical girls have a specific design on their middle finger is something that is awesome to me.
I didn't notice it until earlier. There's a shot of Sayaka listening to Kamijo play, and there's like the blue moon on her finger, and they had the light hit it so that it was like glistening.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's so fucking cool. It's such like I'm assuming it comes with the ring, maybe. But
it's on the ring, the finger that they wear the ring.
Yeah, but it's so cool. This entire sequence of Homura opening the lid on her drink is everything to me. It's everything to me. Like,
I really loved it too.
I know twist off so the condensation. It's
this
everything.
This whole scene was incredibly interesting in its choreography. Like, that's the best way that I can put it right now. There were so many skipping between different shots of like, oh, I'm looking this way, and now we're seeing Homura's face in this direction.
Yeah.
And it was so, like, there was so much movement to it for the stationary scene of them sitting, talking. So much movement to it. And I was like, whoa, okay.
I think, like, this is my favorite song from Madoka so far. Every time that it starts playing, I'm like, this entire scene's gonna be my favorite of the episode. It's gonna be so cool and mysterious, and we're gonna learn a little bit, but not like everything.
Not everything.
I love Madoka. I love her so much because like her approach here to go to Homura with the intention of like, I'm not currently able to do anything. I know Sayaka's gonna be out there. You are the only person who could help her. I'm gonna go for it, you know?
And it's very Madoka that the way she phrases it is to be friends.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is so sweet, and like exactly what Homura is saying about being naive. Like, Madoka really is the most, I would say, naive out of all of the characters, but in an, as we've said, a pure innocence way.
Yeah.
Which is very magical girl. She is very much Madoka that herself as a character is so magical girl. She is so magical girl anime. She's so like the naive, the innocent, the pure-hearted, the I'm willing to do this even though I'm just this young girl, and I'll find strength within myself because I want to save people. There's something so beautiful with what they've kept her intact as like somewhat tropey, but with obviously twists, because she hasn't yet made the decision, and she does have a choice, which other magical girls and other magical like girl animes don't necessarily have the choice. It's kind of thrust upon them. They have to choose to kind of embrace it.
Yeah.
And the twist with her is that they're making her aware of what she will be getting into, but she still wants it. We learn even more so later on in the episode, she really still wants it. She is not wavering because she's like scared of dying.
Do you think
much
Kyubey was like at all egging Kyoko on because of knowing that the interaction with, Madoka and Sayaka would happen?
I don't know, because I could understand why he would call her in to this territory if there was no magical girl. If mommy died and there was no magical girl in this territory, it's not weird for Kyubey to call another magical girl in and be like, come into this territory to fight witches.
Not that. It's like after the fact. Like now that the cards are like laying on the table and you hear Kyoko be like, ooh, I'm thinking about fighting her. He could be like, oh shit, this could be a good opportunity. I could see an outcome that Madoka at some point is going to be pushed to make a wish.
Maybe, but I guess I don't see exactly how he would have egged her on. Necessarily.
He could have told Madoka or Sayaka that
about
Kyoko was coming.
That is very true. Why does he not? So that's more evidence, not that he was egging Kyoko on, but more so that he's trying to manipulate Madoka.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, yeah.
So I was more focused on the ways that he would interact with Kyoko in order to make sure Kyoko did what she does in this episode. But yes, it is. I would say Kyubey is rather manipulative in his interactions with Madoka, because he even makes sure to tell her, like, hey, I know, like, telepathically what you're feeling or thinking right now, what plan you have in place. And he makes sure to position himself next to Madoka during the fight.
Yeah.
And even kind of checks in with her, like, oh, it's looking bad, Remember, I'm here, you can make a wish.
And I love that, like, he doesn't know when Homura is gonna come.
No.
Like, he's like, holy shit, we're gonna make a wish. This is about to happen. Homura comes in and ruins Kyubey's day. I love it. I wanted to read this line from Homura that I really liked. But as I acknowledge my responsibility, you must understand as well. This is a mistake from which she can never be recovered. And then, like, the visuals that we're getting, it's kind of what you were talking about, like the hectic nature of it. It literally reminds me of like a live action talk show that somebody has hired a switcher. And they're behind, like, and changing scenes and switching because of how quick, like, the scenes change here. It's so entertaining and hectic, but it gives you the realization of and weight of what is being said by Homura.
It makes something that seems so soft, mundane, and maybe even pleasant as getting coffee with a somewhat acquaintance or friend and having a little chit chat, and making it tense. Because really what they are talking about is that they are at odds. There is things that Homura, while Madoka is sweet to be asking for these things, and Homura has to be a little harsh with her, there are things that Homura, in her own, like, personal ideals, has decided against, which is she doesn't tell lies or make promises she won't keep.
Yeah.
And I really love how she brings up confidence and how that can be an issue, but she has kind of confidence and an understanding of herself and her kind of values and what she will always live by, and that she's holding on to those with dear life. She
has a very realistic interpretation of, like, power and what is expected and might happen, Which makes you kind of wonder, how did she become this irregularity? Is it because whoever gave her this power knew she would be? Did she have to go through something to become who she is? We know that she has said that she has seen more than she can count magical girls' lives come to an end. But has she been doing this mission of trying to save magical girls for much longer than what we're seeing? Or is this a new transformation of hers, a new job that she's
taken on.
My current thought is, like, she's a Kyubey hunter. Like, if you're looking for, like, if there are things that are like Kyubey or multiple Kyubey, then where else would you find one other than where magical girls already are? That's where you go, right? And we see her coming to this new school, and the first thing we see her doing, other than interacting with Madoka, is trying to fight Kyubey and kill Kyubey.
I really hope that we do get to learn. I'm sure we will, when this became her mission.
Yeah.
Because it is incredibly amazing to have this character who their point in the story is they might be seen as almost an antagonist of sorts because they didn't get along with Mommy, but really she's trying to save lives. She has to be harsh. She has to be cold. She has to be unwilling to get too emotionally connected, because at the end of the day, she might not be able to stop you from making that choice, like Sayaka. And so she's dedicated her life to trying to save lives, but also make people aware of what they'll be getting into. There are hidden thin line print on this contract. There are consequences. There are darker things at work. There are things that Kyubey is not going to include when he tells you about what it means to be a magical girl. And so she is incredible. I'm loving her as a character.
There's a chance that next episode we get a little bit of backstory. I think given the fact that Kyubey has told Kyoko what little he knows, I think could breed an interaction that would give us something.
And her entering the way she did at the end of this episode could also give that energy of maybe us even starting the next episode off with her POV, learning something about her, a flashback, more so than getting right back into the fight with her appearing. I
really liked when she said, "No matter what sins I bear, I must continue my fight." So cool.
Her fight, which isn't necessarily against witches, or it could be.
Have you ever seen anything that familiars could become witches based off of, like, how long and how much they are, like, contributing?
I think that we had heard from Mommy that eventually they could, but I don't think we got, like, the logistics of how many people.
But like, besides this universe, though.
Oh, besides this universe?
Yeah, like, the idea of, like, I've seen witches and familiars in so many different things.
I don't think I've ever heard that idea. That is...
In episode 3, we were told that familiars become witches, and witches' familiars have no seeds. And it's just so interesting. And the idea that, like, Kyoko's coming with this mindset of, like, you have to wait, like, until, like, have you ever heard of a food chain?
That's what shows even more
while she's eating? God, I hate
the, like,
her.
selfish nature of this universe's version. This creation of Madoka Magica's version of magical girls. They become magical girls not to save the world, but for a selfish wish. Something they desire deep within their heart is why they do this. And they continue to fight in order to keep that wish alive. They are not here to protect this territory from the witches. They are there to stop the witches so that they get the grief seeds and can continue on with having their wish stay alive. And I think that that's why Madoka as a character being so almost tropey of a genuine main character magical girl to some degree of, like, innocence and purity is such an outlier in this world and what the system of magical girls is because all of them are doing this. Even Sayaka has made a wish that is selfish. Even though it's for someone else, it's not for the greater good of humanity. It's for a specific person. Yeah. It's for one person's life, not the greater good of humanity.
What were we told, I think, last episode, that the idea of what your wish is can change what the magical girl is capable of?
We were told that by Kyubey when he was talking to Madoka about, you know, how powerful she could be depending on what her wish was, and we were like, how? You know, what is the... And now we're learning.
It's because she made her contract wishing for someone to be healed. Now she heals twice as fast as a regular human being.
I love that.
That's fucking wild.
I love that it's, like, so specific to what exactly you wish for, not how good the wish is or how pure the wish is. It's what are the, like, intricacies to the wish.
Okay. Mommy wishes for herself to be able to continue living. What does her wish do?
Right. I mean,
can you make a wish that wouldn't necessarily grant you another attribute, like a stacking attribute like Sayaka has?
I guess so, because if Mommy just wished to live, then what could you get out of that?
Yeah. It's so like I'm trying to think of like another example, like what would be a really good wish that somebody would make that isn't what Sayaka did?
So that then you would get that stacked bonus?
Yeah.
Interesting. That's a really good question.
Like, if it's hard to not like immediately think about like saving someone's life or healing somebody, you know, but like if you had wished for $1 million, right, or like to never run out of money, how would that apply to the magical girl that you are? Would you be able to have like, I don't know. I have no idea. It's such an interesting concept. I have no basis for it.
What if you wished for someone to have something that is superhuman? Like, say you wanted someone to be incredibly, like in the same idea line of thinking of Kamijo and wanting to heal him.
Mm-hmm.
What if you wanted to give someone some type of superhuman ability? Like you wanted them to be able to see again, like maybe they were blind, or you wanted them to have superhuman strength in some way.
You know what it feels like? It feels like Kyubey isn't even the only person making a contract. It feels like Sayaka has made a contract with Kamijo. Like, it's like, not only did you wish for him, you're a part of that wish. Your transformation has musical score behind it, like as a visual. You have heightened abilities based off of that wish you made for this person.
Right, and why it is because by the point that Sayaka is willing to make the wish, it has become something that she is not doing for some selfish hope of getting something out of it.
Yeah.
It is so pure and deep in her heart that is, he reaches into her chest, you know, into the soul. It is so ingrained in her in this point that you're right, it really does almost create this contract, and even more so of an unbreakable bond between her and Kamijo.
Yeah. Man, I really loved some of the like animation we got this episode. Like it was so cool. Like when we get Kyoko like spinning her weapon, which is insane. It's a nunchuck that is able to perfectly like seamlessly come together to be a spear again. When we were getting that sequence, when she spins it around, it reminds me of there's a new Dragon Ball like series coming out in the next year, and there's a trailer of Goku wielding a power pole, and the way that he's like utilizing it and like flipping it around gives me very much the same vibe as Kyoko here. But one of my favorite scenes is of Sayaka here with her sword, because we've seen the sword, but the angle that it's at, we can see it's like curve outwards, and I love how quick that like her strike is. It's so cool. A single frame isn't wasted, and we're seeing them come to blows through
inside
water drops.
Yes.
Like you can see it in multiple of them.
But it's so fuzzy too, so it's like they really distorted it.
It's so... I am obsessed with this show. It's so cool. Like, everything about it. This is, I think, one of the only shows on the channel that I feel like the entire recording we have of what we are seeing on the screen, I wish it was in the discussion the entire time. Because there's so much, like, visually, I can't even put into words how, in a coherent way, how impressive it is. That there's water on the ground, and it's interrupting the shadow and how the shadow's moving. It's brilliant.
If we were to actually think about other shows we've watched and the percentage of times that we want to call upon a specific creative, you know, shot on the screen or scene, it's probably once every maybe 2 to 3 episodes.
Yeah.
That there is really one thing that we're like, this was absolutely stunning. I absolutely love this. This still could exist framed. It's more of a rarity.
There's
for
50 in each episode for Madoka Magica,
and there's
though.
like the entirety of Madoka Magica is incredibly creative, especially with just even taking a coffee scene like we talked about and cutting in during the same line of dialogue, cutting in 10 different shots of different expressions in one line of dialogue. That's a lot of like extra work.
It's one of the best visual experiences I have ever had watching a show. Like, hands down. It's so interesting. Like, oh my god, seeing Sayaka's blade after she gets wrapped around, like, her legs by Kyoko's weapon, whatever you want to fucking call it. Like, oh my god, the blade just falling down. I'm really gonna hope we try to include all this stuff, but it's so cool. The timing and pacing of it, too.
Everything is so stunning, even down to the very ending with Homura's entrance. Everything is the water droplets again
for Homura's entrance. It's so good. It's so good. What is Homura?
She's irregularity. That's all we know. And then she just so gracefully lands in the puddle. Like, she is probably going to be one of my favorite anime characters ever. Like, I really feel like Homura is going to be one of my favorite anime characters.
I feel like Homura, like, if this was the world that existed and Homura wasn't in it, and I had to create a character, like, just, like, from scratch that fit the presets of Magical Girl, I would create Homura. Like, I feel like Homura's character is, like, everything about her is perfect to me. Everything. Her attitude, her, like, design. Even though that Sayaka has, like, the coolest fucking clothing and, like, cape and sword, I somehow almost prefer Homura's, like, subtle gracefulness with a big watch. I love it. Disc. It's so cool.
So I have some questions in terms of like theory talking about Homura in terms of contracts.
Okay.
Or creatures that she made a contract with. So in the intro, there is a black cat that Madoka both sees and snuggles with. It looks completely like a real world like anime cat, not some type of alien creature like Kyubey looks like. Is that either to represent Homura because she has somewhat of a black cat energy, or is that the representation of who she made a contract with? And then, does Madoka actually make a contract with Kyubey, or does she also become an irregularity?
I think that the idea that it's just symbolism for her is a good idea. I'm with that. It doesn't give me anything extraordinary on the sense that Kyubey does.
Yeah.
So that's what makes me feel like, oh, that wouldn't be what would need to be made. Like it doesn't talk to me the same way Kyubey does in my mind. That doesn't make as much sense to me.
Right.
I think that there's a chance Homura can turn into a cat, maybe.
Oh, cute. I'd love that.
Like, we're getting witches, you know.
I would love that. And then, like, a witch and a familiar.
Yeah. I don't know, though, because you're so right. I didn't even think about the black cat in the opening.
But we don't see the face. It could turn around and it could have 4 eyes.
Yeah.
You know, it could look alien in the front. I feel like we only see it twice, and it's peeking, like, Madoka's eyes are opening, and you see the ears, and then there's a shot of Madoka sitting holding it, and they're both more towards the, like, end, I would say, of the opening of the intro.
Yeah.
But I've been wondering, like, is that just to represent Homura, or is that the creature that she made the contract with?
It's a really good question. We don't really get a whole lot of Homura, if any, in the opening.
If it's the creature that she made a contract with, then you would have to think that if Madoka's hugging it, then she makes a contract with that one and not Kyubey.
Yeah.
Because why else would she be snuggling with the creature that Homura made a contract with? But I feel like it's representing Homura. I think that's what I'm leaning towards. But Sayaka's holding it!
Sayaka's holding it, but Mommy's there too. I think that it's probably representing Homura.
I think it's Homura, okay.
But it's so interesting, because it obviously is not at all comparative to Kyubey in, like, that weird nature, you know?
Right, and Kyubey matches Madoka so well in terms of, like, character design, especially the future hopeful magical girl outfit and look she'll have.
Yeah.
I feel like it's Homura.
I just remembered something else I love about Sayaka. Like, the idea of her, like, my first thought when Madoka's like, can I come along with this, is that's a terrible idea. Every show that I've ever seen, you don't want to take somebody who's not capable in regards to the fight, because then that person who is capable will have that added weight of having to look out for them.
Reliability.
But the way that Sayaka's like, no, having a person here makes me feel stronger, and like makes Sayaka feel like she needs to be able to like put on a show.
With that, and she had lines that I really liked about having Madoka there would create the opportunity for Sayaka to like think a little bit more, because like there's more weight to it, and that Sayaka is more of a character who's kind of like running with a bat, and she would definitely could use, you know, a little bit of a chance to like think a little bit more, and that could in fact save her life. I was incredibly like, as soon as Madoka like asked to go with Sayaka, I didn't think they were doing it until Kyubei's telepathic interaction, but my mind was like, oh dang, so if Madoka's there, like it's actually like a safety net. Yeah. Because she could transform, she could help Sayaka fight if Sayaka's about to die. And why my brain went there is because we already talked about Sayaka, about how she wished she had made the choice sooner and was able to help Mami during that fight. Yeah. And so it was very easy segue of thought.
I swear Sayaka took reference to Mami's ability in her own creation of swords. Like her like spreading out her cape and then the swords appearing under it gave so much Mami, right? I'm honestly, I feel like I would typically love a character like Kyoko coming in to break up the scene, and then there being a standoff and a fight and everything. Like I did love it, but I also kind of hated that this entire world that we were given, this labyrinth, like ran away. I love it. I love how fucking freaky and weird it is, and I wanted to see more of it.
Honestly, I think that this scene, especially with Kyoko coming in and then the familiar getting away, what it does to the viewer is it really like brings up another dark idea about this story, that this is something magical girls do, is that they allow people to die in order to hopefully have a familiar become a witch. Yeah. Like they are willingly not saving everyone in order to strengthen themselves. But that's why I think that like they're painting this idea that that's why Mami died. Yeah. It's because Mami was naive and she was trying to save everyone. Mami even fought familiars.
And Sayaka's trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, and she's really defensive of Mami in this. What pushes Sayaka to the point where Kyubei's like both of them have gotten to a point where they will not stop until they kill each other. What takes Sayaka to that point is the Mami slander.
This is so cool. This is the cool. Like I feel like I'm never going to be able to watch a magical girl anime after this. I feel like this is going to set
for a different day, time, and emotion.
Ridiculous precedent for me. This is one of my favorite shows. I love it.
I might look at different magical girl animes in a slightly different light, because this really does really give you this. These are middle school girls that are fighting,
killing each other.
And I'm talking about magical girl animes in general, and how it brings to light even more so the kind of uncomfortable idea of the fact that these are middle school girls with a huge burden and responsibility on their back to save the world, and how like young and innocent they are to be having that responsibility and burden, and how much of their life is then changed and shaped in those like formative years. And this is like bringing that up, like, hey, isn't that kind of dark and messed up that you're putting all of this, that you're enjoying watching shows where this young child is being given like this giant weight and responsibility of things they can't even totally grasp and understand because they're not like brains not fully formed.
But they're never gonna break that fourth wall, you know.
They're never gonna and they're never actually going to kill their characters, because that's not the point. You watch the magical girl anime because at the end of the day, it's like Pokemon. You want them to defeat Team Rocket at the end of the episode, and you're happy that they do it, and you're like, yay! And the Team Rocket blasts off at that same kind of idea. Like, okay, at the end of this Sailor Moon episode, Sailor Moon wins.
Yo, but like, in this, it's like there's a little bit of Team Rocket inside of everyone. You know?
I think that there's a little bit of Team Rocket inside of everyone in real life.
Yeah, and that's why this is so good. I am certain we are never going to get an answer about the chairs. I'm 100% certain.
I agree with you.
And I'm so happy.
You don't need... Yeah, exactly. We don't want an answer.
I would love an answer.
We want more chairs.
No. I want an answer. But I love that I'm not going to get one. And I love it. This is great. I need more elevator. I need more technology in this world. I need more, like, background shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's incredible. Oh, fucking, what's her friend? Hitomi, right? Hitomi being like, yeah, you won't believe what happened to me last night. The doctor said there was a mass hallucination and me and a bunch of people woke up in a warehouse, but I had to come to school today because I didn't want my parents worrying about me. I love this. There's not a single second of this show wasted. It's great.
I agree.
Because, like, what I imagine magical girl animes being like, since you even just compared it to Pokemon, it's like, oh, the next episode starts, it's a fresh slate. It's like a sitcom, right?
There's always, like, an overarching, like, in Pokemon, there's an overarching, badges. He wants to get all of the badges and, like, a final battle in, like, a tournament sense, But
you wouldn't need, like, an explanation of what happened in the aftermath from a character like Hitomi in those shows.
No.
And I love that they give it in the way that they do here. All right, that's all I have you.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.